Soapbox Roulette. You want to do something new?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the idea. I have in my pocket the technology that will kill us all. But before it does, it's going to replace Google.
Yep.
And it's going to make our lives easier by doing all of our thinking for us so that we can be free to do nothing.
Sign me up.
Yeah, so ChatGPT. For those that care, we have been using ChatGPT to help us write episode descriptions, keywords for YouTube, occasionally to help generate some of the art for the thumbnails and for our Spotify and YouTube cover arts.
Theme songs.
Theme songs, absolutely. So we're pro AI, cautiously pro AI. We'd like to do some of that work ourselves, and we have to go back and check its work. And sometimes I'm feeling creative, and I'll do original art. But you can tell there's a lot of AI use on the podcast because we want to make it easy. That way we can make it every week without dipping into our time too much.
Let's be clear, too, though, that the official theme song is Vinny on drums, and I'm on bass with an effect to make it.
Yep, and I'm doing the vocals for it. For some reason, they turned me way down in the mix, but if you listen to it really, really loud, I'm still not there.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know what would be an interesting thing? We have asked ChatGPT to basically come up with an episode description for over 40 episodes of this podcast, and it learns about its individual users. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to ask ChatGPT to come up with what we're going to talk about today.
I'm game.
We often go in cold, and we often don't really have a whole lot of prep work, but we do sometimes have the advantage of at least having something that grinds our gears, something that we're previously passionate about, or at least from the walk between one building and the next, a short conversation to kind of formulate a game plan.
So far, we've had that at a minimum. We've never gone in completely cold, which I think we're about to.
Yeah. So while we're not highly researched, we are now trying something a little bit different. We're going to go full improv, full extemporaneous, and we're going to do the ChatGPT question prompt right now. So the prompt is going to be, based upon what you know about the Soapbox Lexington podcast, can you please give us a list of 3 topics that you think would be interesting for us to do a show about?
We'll insert some real,
there you go,
mesmerizing,
fancy music.
Fancy music.
All right.
Thinking music.
Here are 3 fresh episode ideas that fit Soapbox Lex's conversational, cultural, and community-minded style.
Wow. Now, I find it interesting. You said Soapbox Lexington, and then it replied Soapbox Lex.
Oh, it corrected me.
Yeah, it did.
One of these days, I'm going to learn what the show that we make is called. That's all right. We'll rebrand eventually. It won't matter. Okay, so we've got 3 topics to choose from, and I did 3 so we wouldn't have to scrap this whole intro and do it again. But I'll give it to you.
Okay.
So you'll get the choice here on which one. The first is this: the future is small. How micro communities are changing the world. Explore the rise of niche online and offline communities, from hyper local neighborhood apps to fandom
Sure.
specific Discord servers, and how they're shaping culture, politics, and friendships. Guests could include a local community organizer or a digital sociologist. They couldn't, because we're not going to get a guest. But that's one. The second one is the nostalgia economy. Why we can't let go of the past. Dive into why shows, music, and fashion from past decades keep making comebacks. Discuss whether this is just comfort in uncertain times or if we're losing creative innovation, fun opportunities for personal stories, and pop culture throwbacks. And then number 3, public spaces, private lives. Who owns the city? Discuss how public spaces, parks, sidewalks, libraries are evolving in cities like Lexington. Tackle topics like accessibility, urban design, and the role of gathering spots, mixing local perspectives with broader trends. Okay.
Huh.
So I'm not sure what I was expecting to get from the grab bag. I think, well, I don't know what I think. What do you think?
I think I have a pick, but I was going to have us wrap up our intro, and we'll go on with the conversation.
All right, so there's our cold open, and join us right after the break because we're going to jump right in. You are listening to The Soapbox. I'm Paul.
And I'm Eric.
This all started out with a list. What's that all about?
So I've compiled a list over the years of things that just bother, things that grind my gears. And I shared that list with you.
And I thought, you know what? That would make interesting conversation. Sometimes I'm going to want to agree with you, and it's just going to be something we talk about. Other times, though, I'm going to want to steel man the opposite position because I think that's just interesting conversation.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I'm always right, but Paul's just a really good debater.
Hey. All right. So if anybody thinks that we were just strategizing on what we were going to talk about, we were not. All I did was say, I'm worried it's going to seem like that.
Was that too campy?
I think it's okay. I almost wish we just kept going with it because now it seems like we're strategizing.
You want to just hit record and we'll just clip it and just go?
Yeah, let's do it.
now it's
and now it does.
Now it's terribly obvious.
But we've got the original footage, so you're welcome to.
That's right.
Welcome to see it if you care.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not even sure what topic you selected. You want to tell me which one you want to go with here?
Just like my favorite trip to the bathroom, let's go number 2.
I've always been a number 3 guy myself.
Yeah, nostalgia. I think there's meat on that bone. We've talked about collecting, items in previous episodes. The value of things hangs on. I think that's a lot of times because of nostalgia. I also think it sure seems like there's nothing new in the movie theaters anymore. We're just remaking old movies. So part of that might be, related to us running out of ideas. But I think nostalgia is a good one.
Okay. So just scrolling a few notes here. There's 3 things and then one sort of conceptual idea that get thrown out in this suggestion here. We've got shows, music, fashion, and then it sort of talks about how we may be losing creative innovation. So I'd like to maybe think of innovation through the lens of nostalgia and through the lens of some of these things, because we very, very recently recorded an episode where I made a hot take where I suggested that something that is the first iteration of a thing is often upheld to a standard it may not continue to hold as it's iterated upon and improved upon. And so I threw out there the Beatles, right? Yeah. The Beatles, they're good. They're catchy, but I think I made the argument that while they're good, they're not the best. They're not the best version of what it is that they've produced. And I think a lot of the reason why people still celebrate them is either 1, they were the first, or 2, they have nostalgia for it, right?
And it's almost not even just nostalgia, it's like kind of respect too.
Okay.
Right? They're the trailblazers, they did this. There's a level of, and maybe nostalgia is kind of a respect for the past in some ways. So yeah, that's good.
Do you feel like, and I'm gonna go right for the jugular here. Do you think if episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars had never seen a prequel, sequel, or new entry into the franchise? So we're going to talk about just the 70s and 80s versions of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So let's say it stops there. George Lucas says, you know what, this is cinematic perfection. It can never be improved upon. Don't spoil my legacy. I've got enough money. And he just stops.
So he didn't even do the special editions then?
No special editions. We are talking just original trilogy.
Yeah. Which most people haven't seen those or theatrical releases,
right?
Because of the special edition.
You might have seen it on VHS.
Yeah.
Or do they even have DVD copies of those?
No. Before I think he ruined the movies before DVDs were a thing.
Okay. With that premise, the hypothetical, the what if, do you think that Star Wars would even be in the cultural psyche today? Do you think that people would still care about it, think about it, wear the merch, play the games? Like, do you think that just based upon the original movies, that there was enough there for it to persist through time?
It certainly wouldn't be as I don't think we'd have the Disney World extension, Star Wars part. I don't think many young kids would be walking around sporting Star Wars shirts, and certainly the toy market would be completely different. They probably would have tried re-release. Well, I think they did. They re-released some of the original stuff in like the 90s. I think having it kind of, at least the prequel trilogy, kind of reinvigorated. I remember I've always been a Star Wars fan, and I kind of grew out of it, in my, 20s. And then the special editions came out, and there was kind of a resurgence of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that fired something up in me, because I can remember a time when it was embarrassing to admit you like Star Wars.
It was for a long period of time. I think it was synonymous with being antisocial.
Yeah.
You would probably have lumped Star Wars in with like Dungeons and Dragons and LARPing and other things that Comic Cons, things that cool people didn't do.
Yep.
And it's almost become in vogue right now to be nerdy, because it's sort of now become synonymous with, well, these people are attracted to technology. Technology is maybe equated to success. Mm-hmm. And so, and maybe this is just me being 41 years old in IT in a research position. Mm-hmm. I'm surrounded by people who also appreciate what I like. And if I was in high school, I'd still have the same opinions that I did way back then. But I do think it's changed a lot. But the reason I asked that question to you is I have often had conversations with people who've never seen Star Wars. Mm. And I find myself qualifying the original trilogy. I'll lead with something along the lines of, well, my favorites are these, but you have to see them through the lens of when they were made, because there's long drawn out scenes, and the special effects are a little bit dated, and the pacing is odd, and
sure.
So I think nostalgia allows us to have a certain feel about a franchise or a thing that we carry with us our entire lives, but it may not have that same sort of contagious nature as people are exposed to new iterations or different styles or what have you.
I do feel like you're right. It does kind of resuscitate kind of the nostalgia, having the prequels, and then of course the sequels, and all the TV stuff, and the one-off movies, cartoons.
Oh yeah.
Because I had, and I think we talked about this some with Dr. Bryson, but I had kind of a interesting path with Star Wars, because the prequel trilogies happened when I was in college, and again that kind of got me back into it, and like, oh yeah, these are cool. And then the sequel trilogy kind of hit when my kids were the perfect age. Mm.
So you got to live it again.
Yeah.
I think that's a common theme too with things that are marketed to kids. Mm-hmm. I find myself not being very interested in the things that my kids are interested in that I didn't previously know about.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to sit down and watch, I don't know, Bluey. Mm-hmm. Now, Bluey's a good show. I learned to like it, but I was kind of averse to it because I didn't know Bluey from any other thing. But when they wanted to watch Ninja Turtles, oh man, I was on board 110%. Yeah. I was even telling them like, oh yeah, they didn't, do Leatherhead the right way, and they, Krang used to be completely different, and the version you're watching, there's multiple Krangs, and so it allows me to bond with them, and I know something they don't know, so I get to feel cool in the eyes of my children. Yeah. But also, I'm kind of interested to see like, okay, well, how are they going to do Metalhead? How are they going to have April O'Neil? How are they going to do, like the Shredder introduction the first time? And so it's all of a sudden I'm interested in what really it's not even for me.
Right. Yeah. But I think at least in terms of Star Wars, they seem to kind of market it to kids, but then, they know they've got the adults in tow too. So a lot of the programming has been clearly geared toward adults. I think there have been a handful that were maybe, Clone Wars cartoons and the most recent TV show with Jude Law. It was a little, the kids were piloting the ship and all that. So I think there's some marketing for kids and maybe the parents will be there, but other marketing is really for the adults.
Yeah, I think companies like Pixar really picked up on that because they did hit the nostalgia notes. I mean, you had Slinky Dog and Mr. Potato Head and toys that people from multiple generations could all appreciate together. Humor for the adults, jokes they wouldn't get, dialogue that was above the kids' heads, plus lots and lots of stuff for the kids too. And
Disney's good about that too because of if you think about Robin Williams and Aladdin, half the jokes he's making as the genie are completely over the kid's head, Some even with some innuendo.
Oh yeah, Robin Williams stuck that in there for sure.
Oh yeah. Just like the album art for Little Mermaid.
That is a collector's item. If you can find that original album art, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there was some artist who decided to do a lot of sponge and coral shapes as part of a kingdom scene, and very subtly made one more than overtly phallic. And Disney caught wind of what happened and recalled a bunch of these things, but a bunch got into the wild first.
I'm pretty sure my sister had a copy that was like that.
I don't know the value. It's not something I've looked at on eBay, but I'm aware that it sells for a lot more among collectors who want to have that first edition. And anytime you attach a little bit of scandal to something like that, I think it ups the value because now it's got interest besides just the appeal to the movie.
Well, it's like a error in a baseball card, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say baseball cards because look what I wrote here.
Baseball cards.
What a fantastic transition. It's a good thing that we had 3 seconds between our cold open and this podcast to work that one out.
Everyone's dubious of the cut.
Oh, they should be. Yeah. Don't believe anything you hear on the internet, except what we say because we are trustworthy. Sponsored by Monster Energy and Witch.
And Pure Life water.
Yep. Someday we're going to get real sponsorship and we're not going to be able to talk about any of these other things. Baseball cards. There was like a really good snapshot of nostalgia that happened before my time. Because I think a lot of the baseball card market was kind of like my grandfather's generation, even maybe my dad's generation, where baseball was the national pastime. This is what you did with your friends. It was a low entry point for the kids that wanted to participate. They could, for a nickel, they could get a pack or whatever, whatever they were paying back in the day. Came with gum. But over time, just like Pokemon cards today, there were the rare things that everybody wanted to have. And because most people's mom threw away that shoebox full of baseball cards, inventory became scarce.
Yep.
People wanted to recapture the moment. And so you saw these things become sort of like an investment. If you own a baseball card, especially if it was graded under plastic, all that, it was something that people really wanted access to. And largely, I don't know that market has ever completely cooled. I think the scarcity has kept value. But I think that market, in terms of just the general appeal, is dying off. I think that's your Denny's generation, your Frisch's Big Boy generation. Those folks just aren't around anymore. Yeah. The ones that are, maybe they still want it. Maybe they've passed that love on to the next generation to a lesser extent, but you're going to see diminishing returns on something like that. And so it's kind of interesting to see it blow up. Be aware of it your entire childhood and then sort of watch it just age and kind of fade away. And it's maybe a little bit of a sneak preview for all the things that we value in this generation.
Yeah. I'll pivot to another one that I know you'll have interest in, and that's nostalgia video games.
Oh yeah.
I've used a Raspberry Pi to kind of get back into some of these older video games and older platforms, particularly for me, NES and Super NES.
Yes.
I had games that I think I still have some muscle memory on my fingers for doing certain parts, and you can emulate these games on a PC, use a keyboard and mouse. You can plug in just a generic controller, or you can get extra nerdy and find my brother. and get the Bliss Box, the 4Play. He makes these devices.
FOURPLAY if you're looking this up. Shout out Sean.
I'll put some links to his efforts there. But you could basically take an original controller and plug it into this adapter, and it converts it to USB, and then you pull up your.
And that's with the original connector too.
Yeah.
So this is for the ones that really want the most, close to hardware genuine experience. Obviously, you can get the retro style controllers that are an approximation. But if you like the weight, if you like that yellowed plastic from the age.
Just even the button reaction and
there's something very particular about that I think that does a really good job of capturing.
I do a bad job of not caring about that, and I'll fire up Mario World or whatever, and I'll use a PlayStation 3 controller.
Oh yeah, DualShock,
because it's wireless, it's handy.
Yes,
you can charge it with USB.
Man, the convenience though is so because for years I had milk crates full of these things, and I would never go to set them up because. It was such a hassle. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the experience was not awesome compared with most of the things that you're getting today in terms of the depth and the graphics and the amount of gameplay that you're going to get out of it. So just to have something that's quick and dirty, you can cycle through a bunch of titles. You get your little nostalgic hit of dopamine or serotonin or whatever's happening neurochemically.
There's another level to it too. And of course, I know the diehards are cringing, but you can use save state. So
yes,
you can play these really difficult games, and you can save the state of the game. Especially
so if you're about to do a hard boss fight or make a mistake in a storyline.
And I'm talking about this is completely outside of the game mechanics. So it's literally the emulator is saving it, so you can go back and you can save up to 10 different save files and load back and try things. And
so this week I got a Nintendo Online subscription for the first time as the owner of Nintendo Switch now for like 3 or 4 years. And part of that is a collection of curated Nintendo and Super Nintendo games become instantly available. And I was going to say free, but really it's just part of your subscription. Yeah. They probably roll off after a certain amount of time, but dozens of titles I remember playing. And so I loaded up a game called R-Type. Do you remember this one? Mm-mm. So it's a space shooter, just lots of critters coming at you from the right. You're constantly traveling to the left, or you're traveling to the right, they're traveling to the left. So anyway, it's a difficult game, lots of stuff happening. Yeah. You die frequently, but if you hold down the bumpers on the controller, the ZL and ZR,
pulls up
it rewinds in time.
Oh, you're kidding.
And so you can get killed and immediately rewind, and you control how much, so you don't even have to have a save state. You can just constantly go back and fix your mistakes, and it's like Prince of Persia or having some sort of weird superpower where you can just go back and complete the level without losing a life, without losing your power-ups. God mode.
I think the Raspberry Pi or the emulators that are out there, and I think the one I'm using is Emulation Station, which RetroArch is maybe the front end. I forget all these details. I'll probably try to put some links to this stuff if other people want to try that. But they have a mode that you have to turn it on because I guess it uses more processing power.
Yeah.
But you have a mode you could turn on to go back, and which it's interesting because it makes me. And this is another nice segue if you'll follow me along. There's a game called Braid, BRAID, that I got it through Steam. So this is a modern game. I say modern, and it's probably 15 years old. We might have talked about this before, but Braid was a game where that was part of the game mechanic, rolling back time.
Yeah, you did talk about this.
I did. So what's interesting about it is the game, it came out.
You talked about this on the time travel episode, didn't you?
Maybe. Or the video games with Horsey, I don't know. But the game is a side scroller, right? You're jumping ledges and typical. And again, it came out 15 years ago or so, and maybe even 20, but it was one of the first games I realized that was nostalgically made. I was like, wait a second. I was like, we've got, Unreal Tournament, and we've got
cutting edge
graphics. You fire it up, you can hear the graphics card hum, and you're telling me, granted these games are inexpensive, but they were made to look like really old games. So the graphics were way dumbed down. But it was I thought it was like an appeal to nostalgia. And the game in particular, I'm talking about Braid, was interesting because, yeah, you literally could jump off a cliff and die, and the game just pauses. And it's up to you to just hit the back button, and it undoes what you just did, and then you try it again. Now, that sounds like, well, what a boring game. What the game Braid does is it slowly introduces in weird physics that makes the game really difficult.
So you have to use that reverse motion just to navigate through the maps.
Yes. Yeah. And in particular, the first like mechanic I think that it adds is you have some platforms that move through time, but they're colored in like green fuzzy, and they don't move backwards when you go backwards.
Gotcha. So you got to time it. Yeah. Strategize. That's cool.
It's one of the games out there that really hurt my brain to play because it got so complicated.
Speaking of nostalgia.
Right.
I think we should, take a shot.
Take a shot. Something maybe, 15, 20-year-old.
Yeah. Aged.
Aged.
In oak, charred barrels.
Yeah.
Here's one that I don't know that we got a lot to talk about, but I think it's just an honorable mention for sure. Blockbuster Video.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen online that there seems to be a nostalgia for this institution, as if people forget about late fees, terrible selection.
Yep.
Like, Blockbuster Video wasn't awesome. If you remember it being awesome, what you're actually doing is you're remembering a simpler time, and cognitive dissonance is kicked in, and you're forgetting all of the problems and expenses that came with having to go to the store, rewinding a tape. Mm-hmm. But there's like a B&B that's themed like a Blockbuster Video, where you can go stay in an old Blockbuster Video with the candy and with the VHS tapes and DVDs and all of that, and the iconic blue and yellow lit up logo.
And you go pick your movie out and then go.
Yeah, so like one aspect of nostalgia that I think we're maybe failing to acknowledge, but I think this should be pointed out. Sometimes we've got the warm fuzzies for something that wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm. You're misremembering it in some ways and picking out all the good stuff and forgetting the annoyances. Yeah, because a lot of time I could tell Friday, Saturday night you go there and you go to get the movie you want and it's out.
Yeah.
Right. And we didn't have the internet to go check to see where it's available, and
you just rolled the dice, and if all the new releases were out, then you find yourself combing the middle aisles for movies that have been out a long time just to find anything.
Yeah.
And that was maybe the equivalent of scrolling through Netflix beyond just the first recommended.
Yeah. And you had the deep dive, and that's when you end up with a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. And
yep. And even Jean-Claude Van Damme has no mirrors in his house because he doesn't want to see Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He doesn't. That reminds me of something I always thought was really bizarre. I knew a lot of people that would go to Blockbuster and they would rent multiple movies for the weekend.
Like, how many hours do you plan to sit there?
Yeah, because you're basically paying, and I forget how it all worked, but I mean, you'd be paying for the movies for 2 nights, and you plan to just spread it over and I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just your way of like, all right, this is what we're doing this weekend.
Maybe they just wanted to save a trip.
Save a trip, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We weren't in that income bracket. It was like a special thing to rent a movie.
Yeah.
Those folks that were getting like 3 and 4 at a time, I was like, what are you doing in life?
Yeah, it's just, it was bizarre to me. And that reminds me, the weird transition for Blockbuster modeled Netflix, right? Remember?
Yes.
A lot of people are probably like, why is this even called Netflix? It doesn't, I don't know, make sense. But yeah, there was a time where you'd get online,
get on the net,
and then you'd add a movie to your queue, and they would mail it to you. They'd mail the DVD.
Yeah. So for any younger listener, this was real.
Yeah.
We didn't have internet quality that could stream a movie. If you wanted to stream a movie, your option towards the beginning was Apple. I think that was about it. And you'd start it and it would have to download. And then you'd go do something for like an hour and a half and hope that it didn't fail. And then you could go watch your movie. So Netflix, to circumvent that, they just had a huge catalog of discs. They'd send you a little mailer. And then you'd return the disc in this little plastic sleeve that are probably collector's items at this point.
Yeah, probably.
And then you could go about your merry way. And then all of a sudden, you got the more local version, Redbox.
Well, before that, though, let's be fair. Blockbuster tried to get in on the game.
I don't know if I remember this.
Oh, this was beautiful to me. So we had Netflix. Like, this is really cool. I remember I even went into Netflix and like spent time marking movies. I like this. Don't like this. I've seen this, and building this profile so that it could recommend movies to me. And I remember I spent a lot of time with it. And then Blockbuster came up with their own version of it, and it was the same price or whatever. And I was like, wait a second, why would I do Netflix when I can do Blockbuster? Because if they don't have the movie you want,
Go pick it up locally.
Go pick it up locally, and they tied the two together, and it was brilliant. I really should have just taken all my money and put it into Blockbuster stock. Except, they screwed it up. I don't know what they did. They did not expect Netflix to go streaming. I think that was the kiss of death.
Streaming was probably part of it, and I don't know if other people are like I am, but once you get burned by a couple late fees, I think that tarnishes the brand, right?
Maybe.
So if you had, a couple bucks worth of late fees on one platform and the other one you got a nice, fresh, clean start, you might just say, you know what, let's say goodbye to old heartache and let's start fresh.
Couldn't you buy didn't they have Ticketmaster booths at Blockbuster? Was that a thing? Am I making that up?
You can say it to me and I'll believe it. I never used anything like that.
I feel like that was a thing. I think you could go to the Blockbuster.
I only remember 3 things from Blockbuster. I remember the movie wall, the candy section, and the video game section. Because if I went in with my family, I immediately went to the video game section.
Yeah.
What's new? What's cool?
Yeah.
What system do I not have and do I wish I had?
Kristen and I would do Sony PlayStation 1 video games. That we would rent a video game for a weekend and just crank them out. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip music because we did a whole episode on that last time. But we could certainly circle back to that, but I don't think we're hurting for topics here at all. But let's talk fashion for a moment. Nostalgic fashion. I have heard the observation made that this current generation does not have something characteristic of themselves. I don't know if you've heard this or if this is a perception that you felt or if this is brand new, but think about, if I said to you, draw a man from the 1950s, I think a lot of people would put him in a suit with horn-rimmed glasses and well-combed hair and no facial hair, right? I think that's the standard 1950s guy. And if I said draw a woman from the 1950s, I think a lot of people would probably think like trad wife, right? And so we know what that is in our minds. And if I say do that again for the 1960s, you'd probably update that with some of the trends. The 1970s, it would be maybe an extension of the 60s, but it would also have its own hallmarks and characteristics.
Bell bottoms. And
if you wanted to throw a 1980s party, everybody knows what to wear to a 1980s party. 1990s, absolutely, we can do that again. Now you can say I'm going to wear Junko jeans or I'm going to be preppy looking, but we even know certain characters from those decades that you could occupy that space and play that character. But then you get to the 2000s, and all of a sudden, I think the 20-aughts, it's more of a 90s hangover. 2010s and 2020s, what have we got?
Well,
what's characteristic of these decades?
One thing I think is maybe interesting, I'm not sure it comes into play. It's hard to say. Like, they don't really have a 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. The aughts just sounds dumb. The 2010s.
You could say the early 2000s and the 2010s.
Yeah, but there's so many variations. They don't have like a
decided upon nomenclature.
Yeah, an epithet, right? Is that the right word? Maybe it's the right word. They don't have just like a one easy, everyone agreed on it, kind of, we'll use it. And I imagine...
Turn of the century, can we say that?
I mean, you could, but does that mean it's only one decade? I mean, again, you like it's hard to pinpoint it. And at what point are we going to refer to the 2020s as the 20s?
I can tell you Microsoft Excel still auto-completes 1930 when I type in 30 for a date. And I've started using 30 because now warranties for computers are within 5 years of 2030.
Yeah. Ooh.
And so I have to manually type in the 20. So if you're working for Microsoft, hook us up, guys. Nobody's typing 1930 anymore.
It's time to
update.
Yeah. So I think you're right. There was a whole lot of copycat fashion going on, and
I've got an idea for why. Okay. Well, let me try this on, and you tell me what you think. Fashion for most of the described time periods had to linger. Stores had to really be invested. You had a limited number of places one could shop. Magazines and maybe to a lesser extent television would perpetuate the styles, and then everybody had to wear it in their schools and see their friends wearing it, desire it, and then kids like me would buy it on the clearance rack once it was out of season the following year. And that's how style existed for a long time. Now people are seeing what's on trend as it comes out by the minute, by the hour.
Yeah.
They're able to purchase it through online stores. Temu and Shein and places are making it affordable, even for the folks that are in the lower income brackets. So everybody has access to it. They can churn through it a lot faster, but it doesn't have a chance to sort of stay long enough that it makes an impression on the cultural psyche.
Yeah.
And so it's less a function of this generation is different in terms of wanting to have style or participate in fads, but it's more like an overabundance of accessibility, affordability, and options. And so just like we see fragmentation, culturally speaking, with other things like used to be everybody would sit around and watch the same television show on broadcast TV and then talk about it the next day. Well, now it's siloed. Yeah. You're going to watch Apple TV. I'm going to watch Netflix. Somebody else is going to watch Disney Plus. We get around the water cooler. Hey, what'd you watch last night? Oh yeah, I don't have that one. Okay, see you later. And so we're relating less with a shared narrative, and I think we're relating less with shared other cultural experiences like fashion.
Yeah, and there's kind of a lag effect too, where you'll talk to someone, oh, this show's really great, check out Peacemaker, it's fun and whatever, and then they'll check it out like 2 months later.
Yeah,
and then they'll come back, oh, I checked it out, and now it's like, well, I kind of moved on.
You care less,
but not with Peacemaker though. That Peacemaker's awesome. Season 2 is about to come out. It's just delightful.
Which one's that on? Max?
That is Max. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought they had the DC. Contract.
Well, there's a funny maybe a side note too with DC nostalgia. James Gunn is pulling the plug in the bathtub on everything DC. The same thing that Disney did with Star Wars, where they basically decanonized the books and some of the things. James Gunn went all in, and he said, nothing you've ever seen from DC is canon except Superman the movie that just came out, Peacemaker season 2, which is about to come out.
So he split his own season.
He didn't. This is
on what authority could he make such claims?
This is interesting and nerdy and nostalgic, but there's also one, I think, a cartoon series, Commanders and something, I don't remember what that is, but that's canon too. So the three things: Superman the movie, season 2 of Peacemaker, and this cartoon. And I think the reason they decanonized Peacemaker season 1 is because I think there were some ties to Wonder Woman and Superman and
they want to recast all those movies.
Well, Aquaman, them. Yeah. So they will canonize anything in season 2 that's where they talk about something from season 1. That's how it'll get introduced. It's really strange.
This is like some weird religion where they're like, we're gonna borrow bits and pieces from some other religion, but not the parts we don't like.
I'm in for it though. I love, the original Superman movies were great and
here. Okay, sorry. Let me just. All right. The new Superman movie doesn't start with an origin story. It starts in the middle of a conflict with established characters that somebody new to the franchise doesn't even have a clue what's going on. How can you start your canon with an incomplete origin?
I've heard you make this argument before, and
but I'm feeling more passionate about it now that I've thought about it. I hate it.
I hear you, except I
hate it.
I will say I feel like the Superman origin has been told, and it basically is the same idea.
But it doesn't count now.
Well, but I think all of these things are stealing from the comic books.
Yeah, right? Which are also not canon by James Gunn.
No, they're not. But I don't think anyone ever really is telling a different origin story for Superman. They're all been the same. So.
Maybe, or maybe this is the surprise. Right?
Maybe
now
he's going to have
an alternate origin story.
It frees him up. That way, if he wants to get a younger actor to play Superman, he can go back 20 years and tell his version of what happened.
Man, I hate it.
Yeah.
He would have to. DC would have to surprise me a lot anyway, because DC's movie presence has. I feel like DC's comic books were awesome. Their cartoons, great. Their movies, they just wanted to rush to the end so much that they skipped entire movies worth of backstory by just giving it to you in exposition at the beginning.
Yeah. I think James Gunn is trying to bottle up what Iron Man did, right? Iron Man launched the Marvel MCU, right?
Yes.
And
he's doing it 25 years too late.
He
is. Are fatigued on superheroes.
I think you're probably right. But having a clean slate, I think I'm along for the ride. I'm interested. And I will say, have you seen Superman?
No.
Okay. Can I put a spoiler on there? Tell people? Should I not say anything?
I don't know if you should give away key plot points.
All right. How about this? I'll say this. They do have some origin story in the narrative as they go on through the movie. And they do have a really, really completely different take on his origin story. I mean, it's the same idea, but he puts a twist in it that really, really changes things that I think he's going to take advantage of. So I bet there's going to be some prequels. I bet we're going to see Krypton. We're going to get a different story, I think.
All right. So then the last word I've got written here, and we need to wrap it because we're going to get long here, but innovation. Do we think that nostalgia is good for innovation? Do we think it hampers innovation, or is there something in between?
Well, can we be still nerdy and talk about QWERTY UEIP?
Yeah.
The keyboard?
Absolutely.
The literal layout of this keyboard.
What did you call it? I know QWERTY UEIP.
You got to read the whole line. QWERTY UEIP.
How do you pronounce bracket /
Well, you don't worry about that. They can move around. QWERTY UEIP. No, that's an old. There's a nostalgia thing. That's an old thing my dad used to joke about. I'll dare say he probably came up with that before it was common to say QWERTY keyboard layout. So I think he built that not hearing, because no internet or whatever.
People say it, yeah.
But yeah, QWERTY UEIP. The layout was formed to prevent the hammers on the typewriter from jamming, but by slowing down the typing because it's terribly inefficient. The Q and the U aren't even next to each other. Vowels should all be in one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then leave it to human beings to just maximally, make efficient the process of inefficiency.
Exactly.
Now we teach it at school. We're wasting our time teaching people to do the inefficient thing the most efficient way possible.
And there are other layouts that gaming nerds and other people have adopted that are better for typing. But I mean, that'd be like us using the metric system. Come on, who's got time for that?
Stupid rest of the world.
Right. Except for what? 3 countries, right?
You've said this before. Yeah. I immediately forget them as soon as
I hear them. One is now I can't think of it. My dad and I talked about it on the episode. It'll come to me in a second, I think.
Yeah, that's where I remember hearing it.
Yeah.
So innovation.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's some parts of nostalgia that hinder us, hence the keyboard. But I mean, that's maybe more of a training thing. What were you thinking?
I think it can be both. Like everybody with a master's degree, it's not A or B. There's a spectrum in between, and we have to recognize all of the magic. But on the one hand, I do think that human beings are one of our human qualities. One of the essences of being human is that our innovation comes from merging together existing ideas into something new and novel, right? So we can take two things that we love that don't seem to belong together, and we can innovate through nostalgia. Take something that we love, turn it into something else. And I can think of like Nirvana was trying to be the Pixies, right? And they failed at being the Pixies, and they accidentally succeeded at being something completely different that a lot of people loved a lot better. Yeah,
well, your Switch example of rolling back time to not die. I mean, my experience of playing, like if I had to play the original Nintendo, put the cartridge in, blow on it, put the cartridge in, play the level. I'm gonna go crazy, right? Yeah. Especially if I set it down for 3 months and want to pick it back up. But being able to save it and roll back time and all that, it's that you're adding technology, innovation into something that's nostalgic. Now you've just improved on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of room in this space for innovation, and I don't want it to all be new. Yeah. Some of the stuff, I'm just getting to that age now where I'm comfortable. There's certain things I just like. And the other day, as part of the Nintendo Switch thing that I was doing with my kids, I let them loose on the Super Nintendo library, and I was delighted to see my kids pick Killer Instinct as the game they wanted to play. Nathan, 7 years old, playing Killer Instinct.
Nice.
And immediately he picks the fire guy, and he's like, "Oh, I just beat Orchid. This is great." Like he had trouble figuring out what the buttons did. "Dad, what do they do?" I said, "Mash buttons, figure it out," like I did when I was your age.
Yep.
Because I don't even remember. Like I couldn't coach you through this game. I can't remember any of the moves. I just remember the soundtrack that came with it was like, it slaps. It's really good.
We had a schism at our house when doing some nostalgic NES Nintendo gaming, I guess. Kristen really wants to play the original Mario Brothers, and I'm annoyed by that game because you can't go backwards once you've scrolled the screen.
Yeah.
And there's no like map to go back and replay levels and all that. And it's just like, I had fun playing that, but I got really into the Mario World at the Cape and the
Replay level to get power up. Yeah.
So some nerd got in there and hacked the original Mario. I love this. And now I'm using nerd as a compliment, right? They hacked it, and I think they did it in like 2016. They made a original Super Mario's, but with all the perks. So now you can save power-ups, you can move around a world map, you can go back on the screen. So I pulled that one out. I was like, all right, let's play this. It's the same levels you played, but
it's got these quality of life improvements.
So nostalgia, innovation, checkmate.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, this was a very fun episode for me. I would not be opposed to trying this format again. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section. If you're on Spotify, you can leave a comment. If you're in the YouTube comment section, leave a comment. Anywhere else, we're probably not going to see it.
And maybe not, but it'll be nostalgic to go back 20 years and read it.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys next time. We've got a brand new website. What is that site?
That is SoapBoxLex.
So you can check us out on the web. You can also check us out on your favorite streaming platforms, including
Apple, we're on Spotify, Amazon. We're on Apple.
If you want to check us out and actually see what you're listening to, we do have video as well on YouTube and listening to. We do have video as well on YouTube, and I don't know if you knew this, but Spotify does video too.